My name is Jeff Mearns, and I have the good fortune to serve as the president here at Northern Kentucky University. What I want to talk to you about today is a problem that has impeded the growth and impact of our university. Over the next few weeks, we have an opportunity to address that problem, and I need your help. The problem that I'm talking about, the problem that has impeded our growth and impact, is that our university does not receive the funding that is comparable to the state funding that is received by the other public comprehensive universities in Kentucky. This funding disparity is the product of the growth of our university over the last 20 years. As you see on this slide, just in the last 15 years alone, our enrollment has grown far faster than the other comprehensive universities. And the number of degrees that we have conferred has grown at an even faster rate compared to our peers. Last year, we conferred the largest number of degrees and credentials in the history of our university. But over this time period, over this 15 to 20-year period, there's been no adjustment in the relative shares of state support among the comprehensive institutions. And that's because in Kentucky, there is no rational model, there is no funding model that dictates or guides how the state appropriation is divided among the universities. Bob King, the president of the Council on Post-Secondary Education, has referred to this as an historic relic. He said our funding is based on politics, not good public policy. And as a result of this situation, our university receives far less state support per student than any of the other comprehensive universities. As this chart shows, if NKU simply received funding that was comparable to the average of the other public comprehensive universities, our university would receive an additional $12.3 million. That's $12.3 million. And now here's a chart that estimates this disparity based upon the most important metric for any university, the number of degrees that are conferred upon its students. This chart shows that if the comprehensive universities receive support based upon this critical output, NKU would receive an additional $19 million a year. That's $19 million. The practical result of this disparity in state funding is that our students and their families have been forced to pay more to get a quality education at NKU. As you see in this chart, our students collectively pay a higher percentage of tuition than students at the other comprehensive universities, and that's just not right. So to compound this problem, the rate that our university has to pay to support the state's public pension system has increased at an extraordinary rate. Just a few years ago, the contribution rate was only about 10 or 11%. This year it's 39%, and next year it's anticipated to be as high as 45%. In terms of dollars, the university's expense for this obligation has increased exponentially. 6 years ago, NKU's expense was less than $4 million. This year, it's nearly $15 million. That's a 300% increase in just 6 years, and next year, the expense will be approximately $17 million. The governor and the General Assembly must fix the pension problem in Kentucky, but what they need to do now, what they must immediately address, is the funding disparity that exists among the comprehensive universities. And we have a window of opportunity, an extraordinary opportunity, because 2 years ago, the CPE adopted a resolution directing their staff and the universities to develop a rational funding model. And that's what we did. Working together, representatives from all of the institutions developed a rational funding model. We did that after 15 months of discussions and debates and, frankly, many compromises. And we reached a consensus on a proposed model. And what this sophisticated model demonstrated is what we've known for so many years. By the calculation in this sophisticated model, our university and our students are entitled to an additional $10.7 million on an annual basis, $10.7 million in state support. And you should know that this amount would only bring us to the average level of state support. Some institutions would still be funded in excess of this average, and that's fine. But we simply insist that now we must immediately address this funding disparity by bringing NKU just up to the average. So here are the central points of our advocacy campaign that has been underway for many weeks. First, the governor and the General Assembly must immediately address the funding disparity. They must immediately appropriate to Northern Kentucky University an additional $10.7 million each year, beginning this year and going forward. And then, over the next year, Together with the legislature and the governor, we must develop a long-term rational and strategic funding model for all state support for all universities. We presently, across higher education in Kentucky, we invest nearly $1 billion in higher education, and that's a good investment. But what we need to do is tie that substantial investment to student success and to institutional performance. And here's how you can help us to achieve that goal. Please go to a website, investinsuccessky.com. That's investinsuccessky.com. Go to the website, and if you do, you'll find a very easy way to add your voice to our campaign. You can do that on that website by sending an email to the governor and to your elected officials in Frankfort. Please, our students deserve it. The taxpayers demand it. Please let them hear your voice. Thank you very much.